Welcome to Big Brave Business. This is a podcast built on the belief that you can create absolutely anything for yourself. Whether it's a dream job or a dream life, it's all possible for you.
I'm Amanda Nelson, a virtual assistant and digital marketer, and that's Sarah Heater, podcast producer and strategic consultant. Each week, we will share insights from working with dozens of clients, stories of how we got where we are, and encourage you to see us as your new business besties.
So grab a cup of coffee and let's talk being brave in business. Welcome back to Big Brave Business. How you doing, Amanda?
Hi, Sarah. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So at the time that this airs, you and I are both on vacation.
Oh my God. I just realized that. You're right.
Yes. And I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about what it's like to take time off as a business owner.
Sheesh. This will be fun. This will be fun. You know, I think it's a common misconception when people think, oh, you work from home, you're going to have so much free time. That is true if you set super limited clients, I think. When you work with as many people as you and I both do, I think it gets a little hairy. There's not that much of a luxury of just turning loose and, okay, for the next 2 days, I'm going to, I don't know, clean my house and not answer any calls. Like, that never happens, for me anyways. And I have tried to start scheduling like an hour or two during the day that breaks up my work day a bit, but that's even hard for me to do, to be honest, because the house is quiet. Why not work? You know what I mean? But I think when you work in corporate, you have, okay, you get 2 weeks of PTO. At least that's what I got whenever I was working corporate. You got 2 weeks of PTO. I have not taken a sick day since I started my business. And I typically try to take off like a Thursday, Friday. So I have Saturday and Sunday off. It's very rare. I'm sitting here thinking about it now. I don't think I've ever just said, okay, for this entire week, I'm gone. I typically will try to work a Monday, or if not, a Monday, Tuesday. For instance, we're headed to Las Vegas to celebrate my anniversary and to also see my friend Sarah for the first time in person.
Yay!
And super exciting. And I am working that Monday of the 3rd, but the 4th is a holiday, which is Tuesday. So I have said I'm quote unquote taking off the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then that rolls into the weekend and I'll come back on Sunday. Saying that, it makes me realize how little time I actually do take off. Because to me, if I can sit at my desk. I'm probably going to kick myself for saying this out loud for all my clients that are listening. If I get sick, I mean, I very well could sit at my desk and work, because what else am I going to be doing? Napping?
It depends how sick you are. It's all relative, right? Like, and I think, yeah, if you have a cold, you could probably work through it. But if you had a migraine, you may not be able to. If you had COVID, you may not be able to. Like, there's the flu, like there's certain degrees of being sick. Yeah, there's being sick to the point that you have to be in bed and you literally can't work. But there's also being sick, like, I mean, I went to work sick pre-COVID in my corporate life too.
That's very true.
Because you only get 2 weeks of PTO. Like, I'm not using it for a sick day.
You can't waste it. That's very true. I think for me, we talked about this in a previous episode, but I am genuinely considering if I'm going to continue at the rate of client growth that I'm seeing and I love, starting to implement once a week out of every single month, no calls. And those are the weeks that I get all of my projects caught up. The more and more time that I am getting in my business, the more I'm realizing that has to happen. Yeah, that even means like we record the podcast, and when we record it, we record enough episodes to cover that week, because I won't be taking any calls. I will be in my pajamas doing the work. And that to me is starting to feel more and more necessary for me to be able to survive in this long term. And I don't think I would have any clients push back on that, but it does make me realize the importance of taking time to get caught up, and also time to take a breather. And as we talked about in a previous episode, there is nothing more relaxing to me than getting ahead on projects. That's how I handle my stress. So for me, that's like a vacation.
It actually totally is, especially because it's a time of the month that sounds funny, but it's a time of the month when I can work on my own business. So
Mm.
that's where I build out a website and I build out sales pages and I write lead magnets and I plan my trainings. Like this past one, it was my quote unquote week off for the month, but just off of meetings. And I planned my monthly topical trainings. I do a live training every month, if you didn't know that, about something related to podcasting or guesting on podcasts or something like that. And I planned all of them through the end of 2023, which is so cool. I'm also in the process of writing a year's worth of content for LinkedIn. So, like, I made like, some serious headway on that kind of stuff where, my social media is totally lacking because of exactly what you're saying. It's all client work or meetings all the time. So I need that week to be able to put content together. I mean, I just literally can't do it during weeks when I have tons of meetings, but I don't have any clients that I meet with weekly like you do. So I didn't even tell my clients I was going to block off a week of each month. I just went ahead at the beginning of 2023. I made that decision. I just went ahead and blocked off about a week. And it's not like a Monday through Friday week. It's usually like a Wednesday through Tuesday or a Thursday through Wednesday or something like that, so that it kind of piggybacks off of a weekend. And I just went ahead and blocked that off in every month for 2023 so that no matter how far out stuff was getting scheduled, that was already blocked off of my calendar. And then I thought, that way, if I want to take a vacation in any given month, it's already blocked off. Like
That's
I
really
have that built
smart.
in. So it's been a huge blessing. And I have to say, to your point, like I look forward to that week each month. Like I count down the days and I'm like, my no meeting days are coming. I'm so excited. And yeah, that's been a really, really big help. But to your point about not taking a full week off of work, not just a full week of no meetings, but a full week actually not working. It took me almost 2 years into my business to take a week off as well. And at the time, the first time I did that was I flew back east for my dad's birthday. I was trying to think if you and I were working together yet, but we were not. And it was 2021. Yeah, almost 2 years into my business. So I didn't have a team or anything like that at that point. And that was the first time I took about a week off. And then I took a week off earlier this year where we were supposed to travel, but our travel plans fell through. So we ended up being home, which was really hard because also, all to your point about not wanting clients to hear you say you can work sick, I didn't want to tell anyone that my travel plans fell through because if
Oh,
I knew
yeah.
I was going to be home, like, but everybody wanted to know, where are you going? What are you doing? And I was like, sleeping.
My living room, my bathroom,
Yeah,
not my
yeah, yeah.
office.
Right. So yeah, anyway, I totally relate there. And then this is a big one, but well, so in the fall, we did 2 weeks, but we worked during that trip. Both me and Eric worked that whole we were traveling, but we took our work on the road and there were days we didn't work. We definitely worked less overall, but we did still do work. We did not take that time off, and I didn't even announce to clients I was going to be traveling. I just wanted to try it and see how it went.
And you did
Obviously, I
it.
could not take meetings during that time, but yeah. So this upcoming, at the time that this episode airs, we're taking 11 days off, and we're taking them together, both me and Eric, which means, as I shared in the previous episode, no editing at all is available during those 11 days. That's an interesting business decision, but that's what happens when you hire your spouse to be your associate editor. So we're the only two who do editing in the business, but obviously we'd like to take time off together. So that's tricky. So there's going to be a need so that we can do this ever again, to bring on editing support. But 11 days is a big one. That's a big
11
commitment.
11 days is a big chunk, but you can totally, I mean, I have no doubt that your clients adore you, and I think you're going to be just fine. I know when you did it last time and you worked, nobody ever noticed. Like there was never a single hiccup, which is
Mm-mm.
so freaking nice. I'm so jealous. The more that we're talking this through, the more I'm thinking to myself, because I had talked about with you about lowering my client load, getting rid of a couple of clients. I hate getting rid of, but offboarding some
Yeah.
clients just to make my life a little bit easier. And I'm starting to realize that maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I just need a week of uninterrupted time. Because, for instance, today I had a meeting at 6 o'clock this morning because of a time difference issue. And that one it was from 6 until 9. And then I had another meeting that was started at 10 until 11. You and I have been recording, and then I have another meeting in an hour, and then I have another meeting with you this afternoon. So I basically get an hour or 30-minute chunks to get the work done that I actually have to. And when you're someone who creates content for a lot of people for multiple amounts, even if you try to batch work, it's almost impossible to get into a good groove. I mean, if my dogs need me to take them out and I'm in the middle of like a really good
Hmm.
groove, it takes me a minute. Like it takes me a good 20 minutes to get back in the
For
groove of
sure.
getting back into work. So uninterrupted time, I don't think that there is any way around just saying it's crucial. And maybe
Yeah.
that's just what I'm literally thinking this out loud with you. But maybe that's what I tell people. This is the week. Maybe starting in like August, I tell people
I feel
this is
like
the
people
week.
would be okay with it because especially
You're
if that's
getting
a week you're
work.
catching up on projects, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is a week for me to get stuff done for you." I know I give you a lot of project-based work. I mean, there is some, like, ongoing tasks that happen
Yeah.
each week, but a lot of what we do together is, "Hey, here's a project for this month." Like, "Here you
Yeah.
go." And so I feel like for me, I would be really excited to know, oh, this is the week Amanda's going to knock out some project work. And I also feel like
Yeah.
then you get to your point, stay in that creative flow. So the output of your work's actually more likely to be better than just, I
Oh,
just have to
yeah.
get this done in the minutes that I have available, whether I'm feeling creative or not. Right. So
Yeah.
I would expect, oh, this is going to also be some of Amanda's best work. Like, I'm so excited because I love your best work. I know your work,
Totally.
right? Like, I would
Yeah.
be excited for that. So, hopefully people would be amenable to it. And if not, they may not be the right fit for the next iteration of your business, right? Like if
Very
somebody
true.
needs that, and that's something that I'm kind of up against a little bit with as my business grows, of thinking the type of support that you want from me and what your expectations are, either, and you and I have talked about this before, but either you have to pay for that or that's not really what we do. That's not a good
Yeah.
fit then. There are people who essentially want to be full-time support for you, who would love to work for you full-time. That's not what you're hiring me for. So that is also an interesting thought. So when you do want to take time off, because although you haven't done like a whole week, you have done weekends or long
Yeah.
weekends or whatever. And of course, when this airs, it's a holiday/vacation week for you. What do you do to prepare for that time off?
I work the weekends leading up.
Yeah.
I try to get all of my projects done. As I mentioned, a lot of my job for, I would say, 60% to 70% of my client work is creative. So, content creation. So, creating all of how many times did I just say creating in the 2 second span? So, a lot of my job is creating social media content for a good bit of clients for the following month. Or some people like to get ahead even farther than that. I go ahead and batch work as much content as possible. Surprisingly, a number of my clients are getting to where they're having very active Facebook groups. It's a new trend. People are going back to doing Facebook groups. I think people were getting away from it and were trying out Slack channels, LinkedIn groups. I think people were really trying out like Kajabi even as their community holder for people to get in and discuss. And there's just no real substitute for a Facebook group. And I'm not a Facebook person personally. So a lot of people are getting back into that. So I will try to, for instance, I have a client who is a travel agency and she requires 3 to 4 posts a day in her Facebook group. And it's custom content, it's engaging content. It's not just, hey, let's throw up a picture. It's a lot of thought goes into it. And I have scheduled out her until the end of July so that when I do come back, I'm not stressed, even though it's a week. I mean, when I come back, it's actually less than a week. So I try to prepare as much so that when I come back, I'm a big believer in before you go to bed, clean your house so that it looks the way you want to when you start your day. I also feel that way about work. So I try to leave work at the end of every day in a way where my inbox is low so it's not doesn't suck when I sit at my desk in the morning. Same thing when I go on vacation. I try to do as much work up front as possible so that when I come back, I'm not just absolutely bombarded with just garbage that I don't want to deal with, or I'm panicked and that Monday back is just a freaking nightmare. I
Yeah.
also give my clients multiple reminders. You get a 1 month heads up, you get a 2 week heads up, you get a week heads up, and then you get like, hey, 48 hours. If you don't get me something in the next 24 hours, I cannot
Yeah.
guarantee that it will be done before I'm gone. Again,
Yeah.
nothing is really that big of an emergency, or I would have heard about it before then probably. But
Yeah.
what about you? What do you do?
Similar. I load myself up extra, working a lot leading up to it, and then so I can get ahead. And it also requires a lot of communication so that I can get client work before, so that I can work on it ahead. And I try to let people know as soon as I know. So we started talking about meeting up in Vegas during this week months ago. And basically, as soon as we started talking about it, I blocked it off on my calendar so it was an option for me. And even before I booked anything, and then I just let my clients know I'm going to be off during this time. Now, part of why I didn't book anything besides just blocking it off is because there was also the potential that we might have had to move in July. So we're renting, and my landlord was dragging his feet about responding to our request to renew for another year. And I started panicking, of course, because what else is one to do, that we were going to have to move and we were not planning to. So I wanted to make sure that I had a nice long amount of time to be able to pack up my house, find a new one, and actually schedule movers. 11 days actually doesn't sound that long when you think about it that way. And thankfully, we're not moving. So that's wonderful. But I wanted to go ahead and block that time off as well and know that I had like a good solid window to be able to get a lot done, to be able to move, and in case we had to. And then I just let people know I'm going to be out from this time, and I let everybody know basically what their content deadlines are because of the nature of what we do. And depending on, if you have an episode coming out from this date to this date, then your deadline is this. If you have an episode coming out from this date to this date, your deadline is this. It's interesting because in an 11-day span, there are a couple clients who have 2 episodes that would come out during that time. Like it's a long one. I don't think I ever took an 11-day vacation even in my corporate life. So this is a long trip for me, and it's not that it's 11 days of traveling, but it's 11 days off, which I'm really interested to see how it goes. And part of the reason why I'm not traveling for that whole 11 days is to see how it goes. I can try it out, and then if I can't make it through 11 days of no work, it's not that big of a deal to walk into my office and open my computer, right? And then I'll know what I need to do differently in the future. So we're piloting it in a low stakes environment so that in the future I could book a cruise or something, right?
Yeah.
See ya.
I do think one thing that is, and also I don't think I've ever taken 2 weeks off of work either. I know I took a couple of days and then I took a week off for my honeymoon and to get married, have my wedding, and all that. But I don't think I've ever taken, 11 days is long. I'm excited for you to see how it goes. And
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll definitely report back.
Yes, please do.
I have noticed for me, a lot of clients are really respectful when I say I'm going to be out. One of the things that's a real blessing in the nature of the work that I do, to your point, there's no emergency in podcasting. So they don't generally need things from me besides that content. And if that content is done, they don't necessarily need me for anything during that time. But they are also business owners and they are also struggling with that work-life balance. So most of the time, if I tell my clients that I'm taking time off, they're cheering me on. They're like, this is so exciting. I'm so happy for you, instead of being frustrated that I'm taking time off, which has been a really nice blessing. And I haven't had to really restrict or put boundaries into place that they can't text or email me, because they generally just don't. Or they have an understanding that if they text me and they know I'm on vacation, like, it may take me a couple days to respond, and they're okay with it. So I'm very like I'm very aware of how lucky I am to have the people that I work with in my circle, and also the nature of the business that I do, that's possible for me. Your situation is a little different because you literally help people run their businesses, and their businesses are still running when you are not.
Correct. And also something to think about that's a little different between the two of us is if I don't work, I don't get paid. Because I'm an hourly employee, technically, I have to quote unquote earn my time, my hours. So if I don't work, I don't get paid. So like while I work on the weekends, and probably everybody is grimacing when I'm saying I load up my weekends leading up to vacation, it's also because that's my income. So
Yeah.
putting in the extra time,
That makes
buffer,
so
like,
much sense. If you took
yeah,
11 days off of the month,
that's a
you,
whole
like,
paycheck I
couldn't
wouldn't get.
make up that time in
Correct.
weekends.
And the way that a virtual assistant, if you do not know, the way that a pay cycle works for a virtual assistant is the client pays for the allotted amount of hours at the beginning of the month. So if a client has me for 20 hours a month, they have already prepaid for all of that time. And it's my job to earn that income that they have paid for with the allotted amount of time. So if I'm gone 2 weeks out of the month, that means I have 2 weeks to use 20 hours in those 2 weeks, which means that I have to work 10 hours a week, and that's just one client, to get caught up to earn the money that they have paid for, to pay for the hour, to utilize the hours they've paid for. So if I don't work, I don't get paid. That's the tricky part that people don't tell you. If you see people say on social media, be a virtual assistant, you make so much money, you have to earn that. Or you don't get the money. So there is a lot of planning that goes into it so that I never miss a paycheck. And sometimes in some cases I actually make more by loading up my weekends before I go on vacation than I do working like I normally do. So because I don't have meetings. So there's that. So I'm excited that we're going to get to meet in person for the very first time.
I
We've been
know.
besties for forever, it seems, and I can't believe we don't have a single picture of us together that's not photoshopped. So I'm excited. I'm
Me
excited.
too. Definitely make sure you're following us on Instagram over at Big Brave Business, because I'm sure we'll post on there just with our little, I was going to call it a reunion, but I guess it's just a union.
It is. It's our union, our very, very, very first one. I'm also going to not only meet my bestie, but to celebrate 6 years with my husband. And that's going to be
Oh,
exciting. And I can't wait to
that's
meet
awesome.
Eric. It's going to be all the great things. So, yes, vacation.
Yes. So follow us on Instagram, not just for Sarah and Amanda content, but also for Eric and Drew content,
Oh my gosh, I can't
because
wait.
yeah, it's going to be a good time. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, it's already a good time. And yeah, other than Instagram, so you can find us on Instagram at Big Brave Business, Amanda at Amanda Nelson Reads, and me at Sarah K. Heater.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon.